When the spring comes, I'm all for letting, anybody that wants to come in and take anything out of it.
Yeah.
And then when there's a, you can get things to take it.
Yeah.
And when there's a remainder, just get bottles, levels.
Yeah, exactly. Even when I don't, when I do it, I wonder what it would cost to construct by the street garage, a small old building. To store there and then, Jack building. Yeah, I'll
Because
wait.
by the time
What's on there? Oh, I don't know.
Well, I thought they were storing stuff on there.
You guys were emailing the link to Jim Clevenger. He's trying to get onto the call. That's what we're on hold for.
Jonathan, is all the playground equipment out of Eagle Check?
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
ask the boss, she's right there.
Huh?
Said ask Amber, she's right there.
No.
Yeah, no, I was actually.
Nice eye roll.
I mean, you took it out over the summer. You took it out over the summer, didn't you?
Summer,
Yeah,
it's
that's
gone
what I
now.
thought.
Where is it now?
In the playground.
Oh, it wasn't playground equipment, it was just old stuff from in this building. It was
There's
needed
a lot of
place to
stuff
go.
upstairs
Yeah.
in here when they were renovating this. Down there. That's a funny look. And then that storage unit downstairs, that used to leak, that stuff as well.
We're waiting to get.
We're getting, we're trying to get Jim on the call.
Yeah. Getting on. Is Russ on?
Well, no, there's a couple people involved. Yeah.
Russ is on.
I give up. I just got that text too. No, there's no waiting room, so they must, yeah. There's no waiting room on this one, so they must have the wrong one. If they try to use the 5 o'clock one, it's a different way. I'll text it to her. I got it in my clipboard, so copy and paste.
Well, that's Amber.
Name up there. What I was looking for.
Folks who are on the phone, we're trying to get the link out to the attorney who's having troubles. Sorry for the delay.
No, something's messed up. Somebody copied the wrong number or something.
Your mic.
Can you hear me, Rich?
Yes, I can. So can everybody. Thank you.
I tried to log on my computer and I have the proper one. I don't have the work session. I have tonight's meeting and it says I'm in the waiting room waiting to be allowed in. However, obviously I'm able to call a phone number, so I'm talking to you on my phone, but I can't do it online on the computer with the video part.
Yeah, Tom, I set this meeting to not have a waiting room at all, so I'm not, normally if it has one, I get a message that, someone's in the lobby and I just click check and let them in, and then there's no lobby set up for this meeting, so you should just get right in.
This is Russ. I'm also having the same issue. I'm waiting to get into the meeting and nothing's happening.
an updated link, and I got on using that link and didn't have an issue.
Yeah, we've had a few people able to get on, so I don't know. Retry it.
Russ.
Karen put a new link on TGL, so Tom and Russ, you might want to try the new link that Karen just put on TGL. She was able to just get in with
We
it.
pick and choose who's on.
Anyone who tries to join should be able to get in.
It's the peanut gallery over here.
We're sorry for the technical difficulty. I predict we'll have the same issue in February when Jonathan's gone.
I will report it to
One of us
Microsoft.
is trying to make it work. Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's-
You're on mute, Tom.
That worked for me, guys. Did Russ get that message?
What am I supposed to do? Get out and get back in?
Yes.
You can if you want, or you can stay on the phone line.
There's a new link. You got to go to your email and click on the new link that was sent via Town and Gown.
Just now?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
He's having brownies too.
You gotta admire the loyalty of our residents attending our meetings. Community engagement and action, right there. Love it.
In the job description for the town manager, the next one, can we get some technology? Sorry, but it's your fault.
Oh, gosh. Well, should we start without Jim or?
I'm on the phone.
Oh, terrific. Hi, Jim.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We'll
Good.
go ahead and take roll call, and even though we can't see you, we're glad to have you here.
Okay, and now the last link you sent to me works.
Yay, awesome. All right, let's go with roll call.
All right, William Clevenger,
Present.
Bill Giffens,
Here.
Jamie Monroe,
Here.
Sally Ricciardi. Here. Rich West.
Here,
All right, I think Jonathan has a flag for us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Karen, you've got approval of minutes on here
Yeah,
first.
if you want to wait until next meeting to approve those, that's fine.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so we're going to move to reorganization of council, our annual nomination of president and vice president.
I nominate Jenny Monroe.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, all abstain. Thank you. Thanks for your confidence. Nomination of officer for vice president.
I'll nominate Bill Gibbons.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Jonathan said that we have Chuck DeWitt on the phone who's heading to another meeting and wondered if we could put him in after the reorg of council. Is that okay with the council? This is regarding building inspection. So
Yeah.
go ahead,
So
Jonathan.
I had some info in my report about that. So Chuck's no longer serving as the county building commissioner as of January 1. I think all of you know Chuck's been with us for a time, but we've also had an agreement with Martin in the past with the whole building department so that he could do some of the Culver building assistant duties county building commissioner. So with him not being with the county anymore, I thought there were some things we should talk about. And Chuck and I have been discussing those regularly over the last couple of weeks and trying to come up with a plan that we thought made sense. And so my thought was to, once the current contract ends with the county, which is the end of this month, by the end of February, that we not renew all of the county. Chuck is interested in continuing on here, and I believe he's going to another meeting with another town tonight. And I think looking at working several part-time building commissioner positions in several different communities, but would be willing to do 16 hours a week here, whereas in the past, since we've had that agreement, it's only been about 10. And so my thought is to cancel that county agreement and increase the pay for the part-time position, increase the hours, and go back to having some set office hours with the commissioner in the building, at least 8 hours a week. And I'd love to make those all effective the next pay period, 17. And for reference, my recommendation is to pay to $15,990 per year, which would be $615 a week. And in the last couple of years, our permit and hearing fees have been, we did $33,974 in 2019 and $24,819 in 2020. So the last couple of years, that's been, I think, come out comfortably. And again, for further reference down the road, you may want to think about, we've never had a local building commissioner that could also do the inspection services, or we haven't had that recently. Chuck's obviously capable of doing both, but that would be a little more complicated maybe to think about once things settle down and kind of work this change out, kind of look at that in the future. But again, I would suggest that we increase the part-time pay and change the job description to require those 16 hours per week and 8 hours a month, and increase the pay accordingly. Take any questions or concerns that anyone has on that.
Karen, did we have a contract for the part-time part of this that Chuck did the last years? Like, was that via contract or was just I know we had a contract with the county.
Right.
And then there was a separate piece that we added for additional time for Chuck?
No,
Is that
he's just
what-
been considered a part-time employee.
Through the county, okay, okay. All right, I just wanted to get that straight. You guys have questions or comments about this? Or?
Jonathan, with the county cooperative agreement expiring this month, is there any financial savings in that? Or is it just
So, is it 3,000 or 4,000 a year? Do you remember, Karen?
It was 3,000, Jonathan.
Chuck, 3,000.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
That was per year, or that's?
Per year that we were paying the county for him to be able to do some of those services during county hours. So basically, they were using it towards his salary, his full-time salary then.
Okay, and then we made up the difference with more hours.
So we had him coming in after 4 o'clock to address our BZA meetings and plan commission meetings and other work that were done outside of office hours.
And so some of that will offset the change in
Yes,
salary.
right, okay, definitely.
So now this will all be included in that.
So now this would just be his part-time pay, and we would not have an agreement with the county anymore.
Right, but would he still attend the meeting?
Yes, yes,
And that pay would be included?
yes.
It's all included in his
Yes.
job description
Correct.
going forward?
Yep.
Okay.
Does this require amendment, our ordinance?
Yes. And if you're so inclined to make those changes, then I would look at bring it back to actually make that adjustment next week.
Yeah,
How much time would he need if he were the inspector too?
The inspections would bring an additional fee with it. Right now, when someone pays a building permit fee, there's an inspection fee and a town fee. So, the way the county figures it, that inspection fee is to cover the time. I don't think it would be enough to make it full-time, but it would be additional hours. Chuck would have to sit down and figure that out, but it would be significant, I think.
Well, I'm just thinking, I mean, that, you know, if this is the proposal that, you know, we're gonna have and do the inspections. I mean, why don't we
Who would
just
do them
wrap the
otherwise?
whole thing up in one?
The county is looking to hire a new person. There's some issues with that bill. Number one, the county's doing them right now, and they do them online. And if we would want to opt out of that, we would have to find a whole new format for doing that. And I know Chuck's kind of looking into that, and would, I'm sure, present that information to you all down the road. But, and then the other issue is that would significantly impact the county. And I feel like we do need to communicate with them if we want to make that change. I wouldn't do it today just because they need that revenue for their employees as well. And that would put them in a tough spot, I think, if we tonight decided to do that. I just think it's too big of a change to make right now. I'm not saying it's not logical down the road, but I think to have a smooth transition, allow people to still have their inspections done on time. The county's got someone in place to do that for us, and I'd leave it at that for tonight. Is my thought.
So basically, Chuck would be managing payments, campaign meetings, et cetera. That Russ had.
Yes, it'd be much more similar back to what it was with Russ's definition.
Okay.
And you're gonna update description too?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
To approve
To approve what Jonathan's proposing.
the 15,999, 990. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can I jump in just briefly? This is Jim Clevenger. The town does have an intergovernmental agreement with the county, and by the terms of that intergovernmental agreement, when this thing is changing like this, where the town is supposed to notify the county, I guess if you would just authorize me to do that, I can do that. And if there's some consideration about what we were talking about before, I'll just make it clear that at this point, the 3,000 is, you know, going by the wayside, and we'll look to rearrange something down the road.
I agree.
Need a motion?
Need one motion,
I would probably prefer there be a motion authorizing the town attorney to notify the county that the intergovernmental agreement needs to be, modified, and then there's payment's not going to flow.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Jim, I did mention it to Commissioner Overmeyer that there was a possibility, so he'll at least be aware this could be coming. So thank you.
That's fine. Thank you.
Anyone else on the meeting? I am going to mute everyone. I had a note here from someone that they're getting feedback. So if you're on the meeting and you'd like to speak, you'll just have to unmute yourself after I hit the mute all button. Thank you.
Yes, and to remind everyone, if you participate in the meeting, you need to know that this meeting is recorded. And by participating in the meeting, you're giving your permission to be recorded. Sorry, I forgot about that. Do it so often now. All right, so next on the agenda, we have appointments that are open for redevelopment and the tree commission. I know that Karen has sent out a worksheet for this. And I believe there's only one tree commission letter that we received. Oh, hold on, then I need to open up the latest. Oh wait, let me scroll down, I'm sorry. Skipped right over. So in alphabetical order, we have Dennis Potter, Dick Branningham, and JD Pesselman for 2 spots open. These are all council appointments. Are you all ready to make appointments to tree commission?
That's fine with me.
Okay, nominations.
And so nominate those 3 individuals
Oh, there's only 2 spots though,
Oh, two
Bill.
spot- oh, you got
Yeah,
two, I'm
there's
sorry.
Dennis Botter, Dick Brenningham, and J.D. Castleman.
I'll make a motion, we elect Dennis Bonoff and Dick Branningham to the tree commission.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, now redevelopment commission, I know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And with redevelopment commission, there are 5 open spots. And then Karen Schumann is signed up as the school board non-voting member. 3 are appointed by council president and 2 are appointed by council. I think I've probably one-on-one mentioned to all of you that I don't know several of the people on this list and prefer to interview or at least have a phone call with everyone. I am not myself prepared to make appointments for 3 people at this time. If the council's comfortable with us scheduling phone calls or Zoom meeting or some sort of work session, that would be my preference. Whether you attend or not would be up to you, but I'm not going to appoint 3 people until I've talked to everyone on this list.
I agree.
May I suggest we have possibly next week a short work session and have people participate either virtually or come in?
Yeah, that would, I mean, we could do that, right, Karen? Would it be under executive or just an open work session?
I mean, if it was an interview, it could be as an executive, but I mean, we're just asking people and just getting to know them. A work session is open, well, a work session is open to the public.
Sure.
So those would be the differences. And Jim might be able to.
Yeah, Jim, if we want to interview or at least have a conversation with the people who have signed up for redevelopment, could we schedule them to come in? And if so, should we do that under executive or as a work session?
You could probably do it either way, but I would recommend probably just do it under a work session. I mean, it's not like employment. You're not talking about a paid position. Yeah, some of the things that would normally you'd want to keep confidential aren't part of this. And the other side of it is, I think it would be better if it were open and all of everyone would have an opportunity, I guess, to hear what's being said.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's anything you want to put
Interrupting. Okay, so we could, does Tuesday night work for everyone and just make it the regular Tuesday night?
Yeah. I can't because of the library board.
Okay, then I'd prefer to do it when you might be available.
There's normally a plan commission.
Is it at 5 o'clock?
Would a Wednesday?
Well, if you do it at 5 o'clock,
Could
that's
we do it at
fine.
5 o'clock?
The library board isn't until 7, but I mean, if you think we're gonna be out of there by 7, that's fine on Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday the 19th.
Well, what about any other boards at 5 o'clock?
They'll meet at 6:30.
Okay. Then let's aim for 5 o'clock. And preferably, I feel like 3 of you on this list are council members. I feel like I can have that conversation with each of you over the telephone. With the other ones, I'd like to at least schedule them so they're not all here at the same time, because I think that might be rude and unfair to each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's do that. If somebody would prefer to Zoom in for that, we'll make a link available to them. Maybe Jonathan and I can work on getting in touch with these people and figuring out how they want to communicate. So I want to come back to that. And
So how many members?
now, if this would, there are
There were 4
1,
members.
2, 3, 4, 5 who are not council members. So we've got Paul, David, Gary, John, and Dorothea. Now, if you all want to make your 2 appointments tonight, so be it. But if you prefer to wait until after this interview round, that's okay too.
Or if we do that and wait till the next meeting, that's before the next CRC meeting, so that would panel a new board.
Actually, I don't think it is. I think the next town council meeting is 2 weeks from tonight. This would be the 26th. The CRC meeting is the 25th.
25th?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
26.
I had the same mistake earlier.
Well, I think by the rules of statute, you can still have, until you've been reappointed, right? You can still meet
Replaced.
or replaced.
That's my understanding, but again, I'll defer to Jim.
And we've done that in the past. There have been appointments that have been deferred or delayed.
Jim, did you hear that question?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, that's a general rule. If there has not been a reappointment for your position, you do stay on. I guess I don't know if there's any pressing business before the redevelopment commission for that January meeting, or or whether there is or isn't. My inclination would be, if there's no pressing business, that the meeting just simply be delayed till the 5 members that have been reappointed.
I'll wait and see. Cox has got a big deal though.
Or
We would want to get delinquent on some invoices, but otherwise, I mean, I think there's an MCEDC executive director report, and there's a report from the visitor center, and then the reorganization of CRC based upon the membership. So,
Yeah, so maybe we just allow them to deal with claims, just have that be the agenda for now. Does that make sense for your sake, Karen, that they meet about claims and leave it at that?
That would be helpful, and there's really not a lot of claims, but there's the charter group, which is,
right, I don't think
For the NDOT stuff?
and the bond payment, so that would probably be a good one too.
Okay,
So, to clarify, so we will meet only for claims on the 25th.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, otherwise we'd have to set up a special meeting, and I don't
Yes.
see the point of that if we're gonna meet next week already. All right, great, thank you.
And we'll do our appointment to the redevelopment.
that if you were find after the work session, I suppose you could advertise now for a special meeting, just throw out as an option. So after you went through the interview process, if you thought you were in a position to do that.
Yeah, I think
Let's
we
do it on the
should get by with
26th.
Just doing the claims on redevelopment.
Okay, and meet on the
And then-
26th like usual.
Whoever's appointed on the 26th can then, reorganize and
Start
et cetera,
February.
et cetera.
The only other thing that occurs to me is the minutes for approval. Since the new commission, you may not have enough members to vote on approving minutes if they didn't attend previous meetings. So if we can do claims in minutes.
Claims and minutes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Makes sense.
all right. Next on the agenda, we have 2021 Marshall County Unsafe Building Board. I think you guys probably know that Jonathan has been sitting on that board, correct?
Yeah, since it's been in.
And with him leaving, we probably should have somebody replace Jonathan, at least temporarily, until maybe later if we make it the town manager again. Is that pretty much?
Yeah,
They want to start their year off with a rep from each community.
There's a meeting scheduled, their normal meeting, I believe, is the 4th Thursday of the month at 9 AM in Plymouth. And I can attend that one if you'd like me to still go ahead, and they ask for an annual appointment sheet be signed by the council president. So if you want me to go ahead and fill the January one, I'm happy to do that, and I'd ask that you appoint me tonight, but knowing that you'll be replacing me next month.
Is Chuck already on that board?
So
Since
again,
he's no
that's.
longer working for the county?
Chuck was not a voting member of the board. Chuck was the staff of the board. And he won't be that anymore. I will discuss with him whether or not that was something he could cover, but I know he's also doing the same function for Bourbon and Argus. And I believe the person whose place he's taking in Bourbon was a voting member, and Bourbon may ask him to be their representative. So I don't know if that'll work for Culver as well.
I think just keeping it separated too, because of, the one issue we had, like the one
Right.
legal issue that
Right.
popped up with that, so.
Right.
I would suggest that Jonathan go to that meeting, but also that we have name someone tonight to attend it with Jonathan, who will be that person going forward. And that way that person can have one meeting to see what goes on.
And keep
Makes sense.
the next town manager or whoever
Right, before the
filling
next,
in.
yeah, and that person knowing they'll be on maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, who knows?
Would there be a similar conflict if there was someone from a board, like either BCA or plan commission who would?
I don't think so. I'm thinking of just who the other members are, and from each of the communities, it's usually either the town manager if there is one, occasionally a clerk or a building commissioner. It's basically the makeup of the town's representatives on the board. There's also a social services person and I think another appointment that I'm forgetting.
You don't have any council people on any of that?
I don't think so. There is one from county council, actually. There's a county council person
Right, there's-
and I believe a county commissioner on it as well. But I don't think last year any council members were on it, but I think that would be acceptable. I don't
I don't
think
see why
there's
it
any
wouldn't be.
prohibition against it or anything like that. But I know a couple of clerks are. So I think.
So
we could-
really, if we're gonna appoint someone new, Jonathan could still attend the meeting, but whoever wants to be the appointee until a later date.
Well,
could-
Hey, I
could
would do
serve.
it temporarily until we get a new town manager.
Okay.
Unless anybody else wants.
What if you got a job though?
Hmm?
What if you got a teaching job
Well, I'll just have to attend the meeting.
and not teach?
Yeah.
Thursday at 9, fourth Thursdays at 9.
That's before I get up at 10.
So what I need is somebody to nominate and appoint Jonathan for the January meeting, but nominate and appoint Bill Clevenger for February on, if you should so desire, to work it out that way. And then Jonathan could go ahead and attend, Bill could witness the meeting and sort of get the groundwork, and from February on, take over.
Bill, is that acceptable to you?
Yeah, I only want to do it temporarily until we get, I prefer to have a new town manager on that.
Mhm.
Also,
I'll second.
Did you get that, Karen? The motion is to appoint Jonathan for the January meeting to be on that board. And then starting in February, Bill Clevenger would be the appointed member until we replace Bill with somebody else. Rich made the motion, Giffen seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, Bill.
Okay.
All right. Next, we have public hearing for ordinance 2021-001, an ordinance to restate and revise rates, charges, and regulations for the Culver Union Township ambulance service. I have got this ordinance up on my laptop here. Has Jeff joined the call at this point?
Yeah, I'm here, Jenny.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. I'm going to go ahead and just read this opening section because this involves rates. We first, though, need to open a public hearing. So can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Karen, would you like Terry and Marlene to sign in for this?
No, I'll add that.
Okay, you've got the list online too. Okay, great. All right, so the public hearing's been open for this ordinance, and I think this also went out on TGL, so some of you may have a copy of it. It's an ordinance to restate and revise rates, charges, and regulations for the Culver Union Township ambulance service. Whereas the Culver Union Township Emergency Medical Service wishes to establish fees for its services, and whereas the Culver Union Township Emergency Medical Service now provides paramedic level services, now therefore be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Culver, Indiana as follows. Be it ordained that the following schedule of rates and charges be adopted relative to the Culver ambulance service. Service type, ALS emergency would be an $850 fee. ALS 2 emergency would be a $1,200 fee. BLS emergency service would be $550. BLS non-emergency would be $550. Treat, no transport, is $360, and mileage would be at $16. Be it further ordained that the acceptance by the Culver Ambulance Service of assignments by patients of insurance benefits shall in no way relieve such patients of their obligation to make payment for said services in the event that the patient's insurance fails to provide for full payment of the applicable charges. Patients shall remain responsible to the Culver Ambulance Service for the full amount of all such charges, but shall be given credit for any amounts covered by the patient's insurance. Everything else is, if this passes, we all sign it and adopt it today. I know we had a work session on this last year and decided to wait till the first of the year just to keep things clean from a billing standpoint. Jeff, did you want to add anything before we ask the public if they have any feedback or input?
No, I don't have anything, Jenny. I think we've pretty much laid out everything we possibly can, and I'm available for any questions if anyone may have one.
Okay. Is there any input or feedback from the public? I know we have Marlene Muller, the township rep here, who attended some work sessions last year with us on EMS services. Any public input from the phone line tonight? You can unmute yourself if you have a comment or question.
How much of an increase is that, Jenny?
Over a previous one, I believe BLS, I thought stayed same, but I know that ALS went up. I'd have to look at the old one.
Yeah, it wasn't like a specific percentage. I think some, if I remember right, some changed and some did not. Jeff, do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, for the ALS emergency, it did not change. For the ALS 2 emergency, we got rid of the two different categories and went with just the one. So that was roughly a $180 increase overall. The BLS emergency only went up $10. The BLS non-emergency went up $10. The treatment no transport went up another $160, and the mileage went up $4.
Thank you.
Any other public comment, feedback, input? All right, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve first read of ordinance 2021-001.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I think because this involves rates, we should do second read at the next meeting.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Next, we have regional stellar plan update. Just wanted to let you know we had our quarterly meeting with Okra and reported to them the progress on regional projects. We have a team meeting coming up on Thursday with the Crossroads team, and Laura Walls, the new MCEDC president, will be at that meeting because there's a seat on that steering committee for that position. So we'll let you know of any new plans with the team. I believe the message board project will probably come back to life with it being January and the funds being released from Marshall County Tourism. So those message boards should be getting installed, weather permitting, et cetera. Anything else, Jonathan, you have on regional stellar?
Yeah, I had one item. At our last meeting, we approved an engineering agreement with Troyer Group for our trail project as part of Regional Stellar. This meeting, the next step is a contract between the town and NDOT for that same project. And the contract just kind of governs the payment terms, the maximum award, the timing, those kind of things. It's basically the grant agreement. So I would ask for a motion to approve the NDOT LPA contract for Cass, Slate, and Jefferson Street Trail.
All right, motion to approve the NDOT agreement for the Regional Stellar Trail Project.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Karen, I know this is with NDOT, but I'm going to recuse on that just because I know NDOT makes an agreement then with Troy Group, so abstaining. All right, thanks, Jonathan. Stellar plan update?
Just two quick notes. A few of the property owners had called with questions pertaining to the acquisition letters they received from RW South for Lake Mac Trails Phase 2 on Main or Davis Streets. And so far, I think feedback's been fine with those folks. Just had a couple questions. And I think we have a few that have returned their letters and accepted their offer. I think 2 out of the 10 so far. So, hopefully those will keep coming in. And then the letting date for State Road 10 sidewalks and West Jefferson Gateway is this week. It is tomorrow. So the construction on those two is expected to begin in late March or early April and run through May.
Okay,
And that's it.
great. Department head reports. Jeff, did you have a?
My town manager, don't skip me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Yeah, I'm
skipped
still
right
there.
over you. I'm practicing, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Town manager report.
Thank you. The stormwater rate, we've discussed the last few meetings. I have completed a draft of the ordinance. The public hearing is scheduled for February 9th, but just to kind of keep it in everyone's fresh in your mind, that I'd like to schedule the first reading for the last meeting in January. Do a first reading, if everyone's comfortable with it, go ahead and approve it, but because of when the advertisements run as a citizen and to get to day notice, the actual public hearing for the rate change is scheduled for February 9th.
Okay.
Let's see what else. I would like to ask for a motion to authorize the town manager to bid the minimum amount for lien and past taxes due on the property at 415 Lakeshore Drive at sheriff's sale. That sheriff's sale is coming up before our next meeting. We had talked about this, I believe, at a previous meeting, but never made an official motion. So I'd ask for that tonight.
And the minimum bid is going to be what?
Enough to cover the lien and the past tax amount due. I can get.
It's about 101,000.
One, okay. Thanks. Roughly, I
Yes.
understand.
Yep.
I would.
So moved, yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If I may follow up on that, Karen, I think I'm going to work it out so that we're not going to have to pay the real estate taxes ahead of time. And of course, we don't have to pay in our lien, so we don't have to fork out 101,000. We're only going to have to fork out, if no one buys it over us, the real estate taxes that are owed. And I'll get that number so we have all that clarified.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a proposed grant agreement with NDOT for our 2020 community crossing matching grant paving projects. So these are the projects that we applied for here in the fall, have been approved, and would ask for a motion to approve that grant agreement with NDOT.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So those paving specifications have been posted on the town website and distributed to, I think, 4 interested bidders today. And they are scheduled for opening again at the February 9th meeting. And Bob's got those 2 and he's aware of what's going on with that project.
Okay.
And another one from utilities, this Beach Lodge is our first town-owned building with a sprinkler system. And when Julie was looking at assessing January fees for different items, realized that the annual sprinkler fee would have to be assessed to the park department as there's now a sprinkler in this building. But he wanted me to at least bring it up to see if the council wanted to waive that. I don't think any of us had a strong preference either way, but just wanted to bring it to your attention. And if there is an interest in waiving it, we would do so. If not, we'll assess that bill. I think it's close to $1,000 annual fee for having a sprinkler system in a commercial building.
I would motion that the town waive the sprinkler fee for each lodge building.
Is there a second to that motion? Sally seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the other list, we had the presentation from Cheryl. We do have a draft proposal for her to continue work with the town on some economic development projects. Take any input I think Jenny had on it too, but I don't know if there's any changes or if any further discussion on it, if anyone felt comfortable making a motion at this point, or kind of where the group was on that.
Have you guys had a chance to review that proposal? Any questions or thoughts or comments on it? It's basically her next steps for working with us to establish an economic development coalition, develop a economic development vision and plan for the town of Culver.
Four-month project,
Yes.
not to exceed $77,500.
Yep.
Billed at the end of each month of $1,875. I think, a month.
You're looking at it somewhere. That's all correct.
Yes.
Yep,
I'm just starting to read your comment.
yeah. Basically, Cheryl will take all of the sessions we've done to date and help us as a community form our own coalition and vision for what we want in terms of economic development. Some of the stuff she talked about today. And we obviously would invite stakeholders into that, those, moving forward. We'd still move forward with our redevelopment commission members, with MCEDC, Laura Walls, and some of the stakeholders in the community, keep putting together our own plan and vision for economic development. But I thought having her continue to guide us through that would be ideal. I think Jonathan and I both agree on that. And I think her price is extraordinarily reasonable. But
My only concern
council
about
input.
is the sort of the facilitation of it, given all of what's going on with COVID, and so how productive can some of those meetings be in terms of the planning process. I think she's talking about like a 3-hour or a half-day session. I think that'd be pretty difficult to do remotely and be how productive. I think I like the proposal. I'm concerned about timing, and I don't know,
Yeah, I think last time she did them in person, but we also did multiple sessions so that we would be COVID safe. And I think she gets that we'd have to do that again. Like we can't have 50, 60 people in here. We'd have to do small sessions the way that Amber handles it, 8, 10 people. So any other thoughts or comments or motion to approve?
When would these start?
I think that's probably up to us, but I think she wanted to,
Continue on.
I don't know, did she put a date on there?
Rich mentioned the 4-month
Yeah.
kind of time period, but I don't think it had
At the beginning.
a specific start date. No.
I think it depended on when we addressed it, so.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be up to us too.
Yeah. Want to address it at the next meeting so we mull it over a little.
Sure. Yeah, whatever you guys want, it's fine with me. Agenda it.
And then, for council's reference, I had someone approach me about potentially renting the old Eagle Check building. I think this came up once before and council passed on it. This was a little different suggestion from the person. I just asked them to put it in writing and they did. So if anyone wants to discuss that further, or if you'd like to move forward with it, I guess here's your chance. It's a, I think, reasonable offer, but I have personally just had some concerns about whether or not it's worth the risk of being a property owner or landlord there. So any questions on that proposal or any interest on discussing with it?
The business, Jonathan, was a food service related one?
Yes.
I mean, my concern would be the condition of the building, and then as a landlord, our responsibility for having it up to code for those standards. I mean, if I contract that the tenant is responsible for all build out and code compliance, maybe, but otherwise, yeah.
I'd reply and say, thank you for your interest, but we don't know what we're gonna do with the building yet, and we're just gonna leave it as is for the time being.
And I mean, they were looking for a short-term agreement too, weren't they? So
He offered up to 12 months, but the preference was shorter than that even.
Yeah.
right,
Looking
I mean,
for really
to do
just the
whatever
season.
build out would be necessary. I mean, I don't know their business plan, but it would be difficult to imagine that the capital infusion could be recovered in under 12 months for what needs to be done to bring that up to code for food service.
Yeah, they may be assuming there's appliances in there, like, which there aren't, like a full kitchen.
I
Right.
don't know, I mean, have they been through the building?
Yeah, I did let them in last
So-
week, so there is still some equipment in there, but maybe half of it works, I think, when the electric was last on a year ago, so.
And there's, I mean, none of the utility, there's no heat in the building currently. There's,
Thank you for your interest, but we're gonna pay you.
Yeah.
yeah, I hate to discourage someone from opening a business in town, but that may not be the location for it.
All right. Next up, an update on Lake Max Trail Space 3. At our town quarterly meeting with NDOT and MACOG on NDOT projects, we discussed Lake Max Trail Space 3, which is the section of the trail that goes around Culver Academies along Academy Road and State Road 10. I updated NDOT and MACOG on the concerns that had been expressed to Jenny and I from the Culver Academy's board about the proposed route. And the council's all up to speed on those discussions that have taken place. I think, had met with the staff going back around 3 years ago and had their support in doing the initial application. But as I think partially maybe due to change in head of schools over there and then also some changes on the board, we've been told we no longer had support for that particular route. And so we were discussing with NDOT our options there. And I asked, for their opinion on 3 items. One would be moving the funding to a different trail segment. Number 2 would be us just ending the project. And number 3 would be us continuing with the project despite losing Culver Academy support for the project. And NDOT informed me early this week that doing a different trail segment was not an option. It was denied by their central office. They wouldn't let us move the funds to a different project. If we do choose to end the project, the town would then be responsible for paying NDOT back for all the grant funds we've already received, which, looking back on the spreadsheet that Karen keeps for us, it was about $48,000 so far in engineering and survey fees. And I'm not sure if we'll have another invoice this month for maybe just a few small things. So somewhere around that 50,000 range, probably we would have to pay back. And then again, discussing it further with Marcia Blades at the NDOT office, she just basically said that opposition from one or more landowners is pretty common on most NDOT projects. It's not something that would prevent them from NDOT from allowing us to move forward with the project, and just said it's really a local decision for us here how we want to handle it. And she appreciated our communication with them on it, and keeping them up to date, but that was the info she gave to me. I think Jenny and Mike Reese and I have had a lot of conversations with the academy staff over the last 3 years on it. Again, they had originally supported it, but currently, as it stands, our last discussion, they were not supportive of it. So Jenny and I, our last discussion was that we just want to make sure the full council knew, if we keep moving forward with this, that we can continue discussing with Culver Academies, but they have not been supportive of that particular route any longer. And again, our only other option at this point would be to drop the project and pay that 48 to 50,000, whatever it ends up being, back to NDOT and local funds.
So I think you guys probably are aware too that we presented more than one route option. We presented going down Academy Road, then down State Road 10. We presented going north from our park trail to down the old railroad corridor, coming out at 10 and going down. We presented it going further north, all the way to Sycamore, coming out somewhere around 17 or Queen. None of those options were acceptable. In two of those cases, going down the old railroad corridor, we would have to get right of way from them to do that. But going down Academy Road and State Road 10, as we originally thought they wanted us to do, we could work in the right of way. So there's 60 feet of right of way on State Road 10. And then, as you know, Academy Road is a county road that we've received permission to work in their right of way. So we've done every option that is out there. We did explain that giving up a almost $1 million grant and the relationship that we have with NDOT is important to us, but we did not want to give up that grant. And as we suspected, they won't let you move those grant dollars to say phase 4 or phase 5 of the Lake Max Trail. So there's no option other than we either work within the right of way and still do the trail project, or we pay back the amount of money spent on the survey and the preliminary design and engineering, which, as Jonathan said, is
I should say
around
that,
50.
Yeah, 50,000 is what NDOT has paid so far. We've also had our 20% match that's been expended already.
Right.
I thought the number was like.
Yeah. So that 48 is just what
It's really
NDOT paid.
more of a $60,000 loss to us because we had to pay our match on the NDOT funds that we've received to pay the bills.
Well, I have two thoughts. Number one, I'm not in favor of paying NDOT the money back, because I think that sets kind of a bad precedent in the future if we would want anything. And secondly, with the alternative site going down Academy Road and 10, if we were to adopt that, say tonight, and let them know that we've taken this action, it would leave the door open for them possibly, to counter and come around with what we really wanted to begin with.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I agree with Bill. I mean, I'm reluctant to give back or give up roughly $60,000 worth of tax dollars, and also to lose the $1 million grant in terms of our reputation within that. I just think that would not be wouldn't be a good course to take. And I mean, the academy wanted to pay that amount, then maybe that's something we would consider if they would, repay NDOT and us for this. But otherwise, I mean, we have the right of way on Academy Road and Route 10. I really don't know that we have too much of a choice there.
Yeah, I mean, we either give up $1 million grant, or we proceed with the original direction that was approved, which was Academy Road and State Road 10. My understanding, they haven't come up with any alternative route that would be that would interest them. So I think what Bill said is correct.
Bill Githens, any comments or thoughts?
I go with Bill. I mean, we understand the 60,000 is the lesser of two evils, but what's the repercussions if we give back the 60,000? We don't want to jeopardize our reputation with NDOT. And maybe not last, but not least, what's the academy done for us lately?
I go back to the planning that we started in, I want to say 2016, maybe even before then, about the time that Jonathan joined us, and we started working on the master trail plan, our strategic investment plan for Stellar. All of those involve trails. We engaged the stakeholders, including the academies. We had a lot of good input and feedback from people who work at the academies, including this particular trail segment. We've had 2 years of engagement with the two different headmasters, thinking that they were supporting the project. So we acted in good faith and with NDOT and with our stakeholders and with the community. So I support what the four of you are saying as well, that we do the project. In that respect, I would honor a motion to authorize Jonathan to let NDOT know of our intention and to authorize us to also communicate with Culver Academies that we intend to move forward within the right-of-way on Academy Road and State Road 10.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Karen, was that clear? Okay, thank you. Back to you.
The last item I have was just, I am working on a transition plan to try and make sure there's someone, on staff that knows what's going on with every project and everything's covered, so.
To that end, I've been kind of trying to talk to the council members about transitioning Jonathan, and so appreciate that you're working with staff on this. I was thinking ideally if, I know you've got a lot of projects that are in the works, that many of which are within DOT or related to Stellar, local Stellar and regional Stellar. So ideally, I thought if council members could join whatever staff members assign, that I personally would like to not oversee projects that are related to anything Troyer Group is doing engineering or design on. Troyer Group intentionally keeps me in the dark on their end on anything they've bid on in the community or been scored on here. So I'd like to stay in the dark in that respect so I can continue to recuse myself. So, but I also think our departments with our supervisors of each department who are excellent supervisors and give us some security about transitioning to a new town manager, but it would be great to have liaisons within that. So I was thinking, knowing Bill was involved in hiring with EMS, that Bill could do EMS. Bill Githens, maybe police and fire or police alone. Rich and Sally maybe taking up the NDOT projects and the Stellar projects, and then I can manage the rest of Jonathan's workload, like personnel and community crossings grants, some of the things that are still very active. What do you guys think about? And then council can help report where the supervisors of those departments, but it would give us all an area of coverage while we're waiting to hire. And Jonathan can then let us know what staff member's been assigned to which projects and who we need to talk with and meet with. Does that kind of sit well with you guys?
That makes sense. Like, utilities is the other area.
Right, and I'm thinking Bob's certified with NDOT to do NDOT projects. You have to have that, what is it?
Employee and responsible charge, ERC.
ERC. So since Bob's certified, I think that would be you and Sally maybe cover all the utilities and the NDOT projects. And then Bill, would you take police fire as
Sure.
like a combo, and would you do EMS, Bill? And then Jonathan can meet with all of us to let us know what's going on with our area of coverage and make sure that we know the staff members in charge, et cetera.
And maybe have a transition meeting with Jonathan, whoever that staff member is, and whoever the council member is, before the end of the month.
Yeah. Yeah. And just so you know, I will be out the 27th through the 30th for, my minor surgery. So I should be here at the meeting on the 26th. I should be back in the swing of things before that first meeting in February, but I will have some downtime after that. So.
One question.
So that's okay.
Jonathan, before he finishes up his report, could you update us on the water situation on Main Street?
Sure.
So everybody,
Yeah.
it's on the record what's brief. I mean,
Right.
everybody understand those.
Yeah, right. I think it was, over the weekend, 2 weeks ago, we were contacted by one of the business owners that they had water entering their basement. I think Bob and I communicated with the council, what we had done already to date and, what we thought was happening there. One of the concerns expressed was whether or not there might be some sort of old abandoned stormwater infrastructure there. And Bob and I had both looked through old maps, any records we had, and weren't able to come up with anything that would have been in front of the building that was having the issue. So we weren't sure what to do next. And then the following day, Bob spoke with the plumber there that worked for the owner. And further discussion, they decided to pull a sample of the water just to make sure that it wasn't a water leak. And sure enough, it was treated water. So that Monday morning, I think by 9 o'clock or so, we were down there excavating, getting that line repaired. So when they did dig that up, the area in front of that property owner on Main Street, we weren't able to find any evidence of any other abandoned lines or anything like that, but we did see that the existing water line that was entering the property was in poor shape and leaking, both on the town side and on the property owner side. So Bob coordinated our replacement, talked to, again, their plumber and had them replace the line that was entering their building that's on the private side. And so all that has been replaced and filled back in. And the property owner was out of town at the time, but Bob confirmed with one of the staff members was able to go down the basement and make sure that at that point, no more water was entering the building. So we're hoping that takes care of the issue. I haven't heard any updates since then. So.
I thought it was my understanding that it was more than just one address that had water in the basement, that I thought it was like 15, 13, 11, and maybe 7. 107.
Yeah, I've heard there's one that's had ongoing water issues in the basement for many, many years.
Right.
Again, I don't know what the situation was there, and we had not been in the basement of the one next to it. That again, I've heard that, but I have not heard it directly. So yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Department head reports. Jeff, we'll go back to EMS if you have anything further to report.
I just have a couple of things, Jenny. We ended off on a pretty good year here, even though the year was what it was. We did see a slight increase in calls, but we saw a major increase in transports. So it was a very up year, even though in most cases it was a down year on some things. We did stay very active throughout the year. So that is looking good, and it's trending that way as for next year as well. So it will be probably another busy year. So the added relief is going to be most appreciated. I do have 2 candidates that applied for the full-time spot, and we'll be interviewing them starting next week, and hope to be on track by the first week of February to get them officially hired as full-time. I also gotten 2 more applications for 2 other paramedics that are interested in part-time work. So everything that we're trying to put in motion here is actually paying off in a positive way. So I do appreciate all of you listening to some of the needs that I'm having, and I'm appreciative for all the needs that you gave me throughout my short period last year. So I look forward to a good 2021 here.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Glad some things are starting on a positive note. That's good to hear. Fire department, it looks like Terry Wakefield is joining us. Welcome back, Terry. It's good to see you. How have you been?
I've been good, thank you. Over here.
Any news from the fire department?
There's actually a few things that I'm gonna touch on to fulfill you guys with. So you know that the COVID shots are out, and I'd say about 80% of our guys have had their first shot. A few of them were getting scheduled to do their second shot. For our department only, just for, you know, your information, you guys are taking, some of the other ones are turning their nose, but that's life in COVID. Another positive note, the gear that we ordered last year is going to be here the 1st of March, which is not that far off. And then with that, we go into the other news. Last year, the tanker was taken in and was getting ready to have some service done because it couldn't pass pump test or truck test. So they took it in and they were guessing around $4,000 to have it fixed. I think that was somewhere in the range that was brought to you guys. Well, unfortunately, we took it in and the bill came back at $10,269.75. So I guess I'm asking for after the fact approval for that vehicle to be, it leaks no water now. Before it was so bad that we were to the point where we'd have to fill it and work on it all the time, and we couldn't pass our federal testing. It wouldn't pass. So we had to put money into it, and when they got it open, they found, that's what they found, and that's what they came back with.
Welcome back, Terry.
I've got a question, Terry. This year you had a second maintenance person. Is this something that maintenance could have maybe prevented or foreseen?
We didn't add a second maintenance.
No,
We've had 2 all along.
Huh?
We've had 2 maintenance.
Oh, have you?
guys
Okay, I'm
all along,
sorry.
And they do basic maintenances. The guy that does this has to be state certified to work on the pumps that they did. We could have never done this in-house.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to approve the claim for the repair of the truck?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Large goal.
Also, our grass truck is out of service. We don't know exactly what happened. It's the older one of the 2. It would just die. It would start, it would run, we would go quarter mile, boom. We tried working on it in-house, changing filters, changing things we thought we could do. We have no idea what it is, so we took it in to get looked at, and at this point, that's where we're at. It's out of service. We haven't got any call back on it or anything that they found so far to report to us to even get it back and running. And as soon as I find out, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
And the next one, in ordering our gear last year, we had it scheduled for next year to get helmets so that we kind of could break up a little bit of the big money spent out. And looking at the helmets that we looked at, some actually, I believe 2 of them that had been taken in and serviced or worked on. And when they were upgraded and gained another year on them. Those were the labels that we were looking at when we were scheduling them for next year. Our helmets, as of today, are expired. They're no longer NFPA. So if someone had to go into a house, if something would happen to them, to that helmet, we're no longer covered. So I went and got a price to look at them, and the price for the helmets for the active firefighters that we have is $4,698. You can't get them any faster than 4 to 6 weeks if you approve the order to get them. That's the fastest we can do. We can use ours right now, like I said, if something goes wrong. They're 10-year, they last 10 years and now that they go out of service. There's no putting them back into service, there's no rebuilding, no recoating, no, just like the gear, just, you're done. So I guess I need approval to do that or input.
Okay. We have a motion to approve purchase of new helmets for the active firefighters.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I know this is starting off at a burden on our account because my maintenance program, I believe, is at $10,000. We exceeded that already, and it's not even converted to January. A couple of years ago, I know our maintenance budget was higher. I had it raised up, and then it got to the point where everything was going good. We were smooth, trying to keep our budget in line, so I could drop that budget. Vehicles that we're working on, the ones that we're telling you about right now, are 2 of the older trucks that we have, and those are the ones that are scheduled to be replaced when their time comes up. Tanker is in 5 years, I believe. Somewhere in between there, I believe, there's a grass truck that's supposed to be, that falls in that category in between those two. I'm pretty sure that's where it's at. I haven't seen them for better than a year to get with Marlene. She's got a schedule for the township and set up with that also. So that's all the information I have.
Okay. Thanks,
If I
Terry.
can add to Terry's comment, I have like helmets and uniforms in my budget under my Cume Fire Fund that I can help purchase those. So whether or not you want to do all of it now and we see at the end of the year whether you need additional funds or something but I can take money out of my Cume Fire to help pay for those things if we need it in addition to his budget. So keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
Would you prefer to do 50/50 now, or would you prefer, what's your preference, I guess?
Well, I don't think so. I think because we need to see what the budget's gonna be. If they do in fact have money in their budget for the year, then
Use it for-
we don't need it. But if we come to the end of the year, you know,
There
I
are no
have
more
to
dollars to
fire
move
fund.
around.
Okay, well, that's my question.
yeah, that I can take out of to help pay for things like that.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah,
that's good to
normally
know.
they
That's
can-
good to know, yeah.
He can move from one line item to another, but as Marlene said, he may run out of line items
Right.
eventually. I think last time you became chief in your first year, the maintenance
Fell apart.
had to get caught up.
We definitely had an issue with a grass truck that had been purchased by previous. It ended up costing a lot more money than what it was supposed to, and we definitely had I believe it was a $40,000 maintenance year.
Yeah. Well,
Don't reduce your
deferred maintenance catches up eventually, right?
Yeah, it's, well, the truck's, it's a 2001. And, you know, we have a rotation for our trucks so we can get them out of there. The way we can try to keep them for 25 years, that's what we're looking for. And, you know, that way we don't have to do big things like this. I mean, we could take a chance on smaller fire departments in here, they take chances, and I'm not willing to take that chance.
Well, on the helmets, you know it's got a 10-year life. You have it scheduled out in 8 years, say year 8 or something, you were planning.
I haven't, because the plan to redo these was actually, it was scheduled in for next year. It was next year to be in our budget.
Oh, okay.
It was in the budget, but the dates on the helmets are telling me that it should have been. But as much as the budget that Karen and I worked on to try to get money for a fire truck and gear and things that in the 5-year plan that we had with Jonathan worked up with things, these big line item budget things come up. It's like, we don't want to come in here and say, I need $40,000. We want to plan ahead, in which we've tried even the radios There's another part of that budget, if I remember right. We upped that budget, we tried to get a grant, the grant fell through. So that money's still in the line item for radios, which we're still gonna need because they're falling apart just slowly. They've been around that long. So hopefully, when we redo this year's budget, we can revisit that and then we'll know more about these things that.
Okay.
You have an option, Terry, with your grass properties that could be replaced in a couple of years. I mean, if the repair cost on that is such that should we evaluate whether we need to go forward as replacement? It would make more sense than putting a lot of money into a property over and replace in 2 years.
I actually, I don't think so. I think it's a motor issue.
Okay.
It's not a pump issue. It's not our parts. It's actually the truck itself.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that it's not, hope it's a turbo or something, you know, those high-tech things that's in there that they can flip a switch. That's what I'm praying for. And that we could use this truck for another 4 years, either 3 years, 4 years, whatever we can get out of it. It's not one of our most used vehicles. We use more of those in the township than we do in town. Every now and again, we do bring fire trucks or the grass trucks in town to Indian trails, people's yards, things like that, leaf piles. But for the main part there, our township use.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is that all, Terry?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks, Terry. Wayne, are you on the call for the police department?
Yes,
Go ahead, Wayne.
I'll keep mine short. I don't have anything.
Thanks, Wayne.
You're welcome. Unless you have any questions.
We'll go on to the park because Amber's on the call.
Yes, I am. I just have can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just have a few things. I just wanted to update you all that the Marshall County Park Board, they decided to begin their Marshall County Parks 5-year master plan. So I've been attending those meetings just as a stakeholder. So we'll be meeting monthly and I'll keep you guys posted as that goes on. We just had our first meeting last week, which just consisted of developing a vision statement. So I'll keep you guys posted on those meetings as we continue. Other than that, just some programming stuff. Just a heads up, I did meet with Esme from the library this week, and we had decided to sort of bring the story walk programming back to the park. It's my understanding that was in the park a few years ago and was lost a little bit. So long as the library provides us with stories, we're going to go ahead and from our end at the park, develop some stands for the story walk. So that'll be coming up. Our goal is to start that program in the spring, either March or April. So something to look forward to. Other than that, we have been exploring some more options in regard to programming, trying to hit all age groups and most importantly, provide programming that does align with COVID guidelines, which has become sort of difficult recent months. So I don't know if everyone is aware, but Ginny has been posting about a lot of the ceramic stuff that she's gotten into recently. And I did approach her about it as I had the opportunity to participate in the ceramic craft and, you know, the having it glazed and fired in the kiln. And I did approach her after doing that, and I had asked her if that could potentially be something that we offer at the park, just as a programming option, kind of allowing people to come to the beach lodge, once again, abiding by the COVID guidelines, keeping the participants to 8 people per session. But I guess just providing some transparency to you all. And Ginny, I'm going to go ahead and revert to you and let you provide any details you'd like to, but the goal right now is to provide that as a program option, but we would have to sort of be provided the materials just to be cost efficient because there's not a lot of options for ceramics and kilns in the area. So Jenny, you can kind of go into detail about what that would consist of, but the goal is to have them provide some of those materials.
Okay. Sure, Amber. As I've talked with Amber about, and I talked to Karen about it as well, I have registered with the state for a business ID number, so I can also buy wholesale pricing for bisqueware, clay, glaze, etc. Grant and I own a kiln that we can fire ceramics in. So I let Amber know that for about 40 people, if you were going to put out a selection of bisqueware and glaze colors to paint it and fire it in the kiln, I could purchase at cost what that would be. And we were trying, Amber wanted to offer this as a free program to the community where they don't have to pay for it. So I am willing to purchase what she needs, which is the pieces that people paint, the glaze that you paint with, and then the use of the kiln to fire the pieces. My estimate is that that would cost about $600 for 40 people. And I would be happy to purchase the pieces and the glaze and provide them to Amber along with instructions, etc. But I don't want to provide that for free. But I also would not mark up anything, and I would provide a invoice to Karen, and she can have access to the pricing that I get wholesale. But I didn't want to do it without the council knowing that I would be reimbursed for whatever I provide to Amber. And then it's hard to kind of tell you how much glaze that would take, but we have a rough idea of what it takes per piece, so we can provide, X amount of glaze. And then we do know it costs a set amount to run a kiln for 12 hours when you fire the piece and cool it off. So I can provide that information to you. You can approve the claim if you so desire, and Amber can run the program, or Amber could go with a vendor who sells the same pieces, or hire like a Pottery by You company, or some of these organizations exist north of us and also in Indianapolis. But I just wanted to be transparent that we were having the conversation, and that I'm okay with getting those products for her at cost and not a profit to my pocket. If you approve of her doing that program and us doing that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So you would have to let Amber know if you're good with that. I would provide Karen all the data and an invoice showing her that I'm charging what the company charges me. And then you could also approve the specific claim. Jim, is that acceptable?
Yeah, I think so. As long as you're being transparent about everything, and you have a mechanism in place to make sure that you're not profiting by it and so forth. I think that's fine.
So
You need a motion to approve that.
I think Karen would probably prefer that, right?
I would like to make a motion that we allow Amber to purchase supplies from Monroe's company and have a ceramic class for up to 40 people.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? And I obviously will recuse myself.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah, I'm excited to see that go through, but that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, thanks, Amber. Any questions for Amber? Or all right, is Bob on the line for utilities? I don't think he is, right? Okay.
I think he is trying to get back in time.
Yeah, he is on the.
Oh, hey, Bob, are you there? If you're there, you're on mute. Okay, just shout out if you need us.
He did have one thing.
Uh-huh.
I was hoping he could share the good news, but I will do so. Damon Bush passed his wastewater and water operator exams. He took water last week and he took wastewater today.
Wow.
And so that makes him eligible for a 50-cent per hour raise, 25 cents per certification. So if you would approve that and state when that would go into effect, I'm sure he would appreciate that.
Motion to approve the 50-cent raise effective the next paycheck.
So moved. For Damon, yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two of them, that's fantastic. That's gotta make Bob happy. He texting you? All right, so we'll move on to boards and commission reports. Is anyone reporting for the Plan Commission at this time? Or BZA? Redevelopment Commission, I know based on earlier in our meeting, you have your meeting on the 25th, and it will involve approving minutes and claims only for now.
Right.
Okay. Is anyone reporting from the Tree Commission? All right. Clerk's report.
I need to ask for approval for two claims. One's for Hooters Tree Service for $3,000 for the Tree Commission, and then Ryland Humphrey, Clevenger, and Cerisi for $5,482 for legal fees.
Okay. Motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll just say, thank you all for being here tonight, so I don't have to do roll call. This is just wrapping up 2020. Sally did provide me with a certification of elected officials to the executive of the town of Culver on compliance with municipal contracting policy and the nepotism policy.
Okay.
So that was for 2020. She just wasn't at the last meeting, or physically at the last meeting. Right now, I have 3 conflict of interest statements. If there are any others, we'll catch up next week. It's fine. One from Rich West, who's a council member. He serves on as a board member of Develop Culver and the Visitor Center. We need to sign the back. And then one from Ginny Monroe, who works for the Troyer Group, who has active contracts with the town, and she does, as we all know, she does abstain from any votes, and you need to sign that.
Yeah, and I will add the new
Yes,
one.
and as well as
Boys and Girls
Gigi,
Club?
oh, yeah, Boys and Girls Club and Gigi's.
Culver Youth Club now?
But
So, you know what, how about if I just hit that one next time?
Yeah.
So, and then go get this. You didn't finish it.
okay.
We'll cover these next time.
Okay,
Let's do
thanks,
that.
Karen.
All right. So, as you all know, Jonathan is leaving us. Or should I say abandoning? I'm making feel as bad as I can for as long as I can. Sorry about that. So I talked to Ginny, and when we hired Jonathan, we also had involved Mitch Ripley from HR and Limited Resources to assist us with the town manager hiring, as our track record with town managers previous to that had lasted more than 3 years. So I think Mitch did a good job because Jonathan lasted almost 6. And so I provided you all contracts, or a copy of the proposal, I believe, and I don't have it right here, but it was, but you all have seen it. So I think it's around $1,600 to conduct interviews, and just guide the council through the whole process. So if you would, if you are so inclined, make a motion to approve the proposal for assistance in the hiring process.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's hope Mitch brings us someone half as good as Jonathan.
And just as a point of reference or just information, I sent you out some information on Archive Social. The whole world of public access is changing and having social media accounts and public requests for public information or public records also extends to the social media world. Include in that world, like on Facebook, things can get deleted, you don't know it. You know, someone may ask for a record and you can't provide that information. So there's a company called Archive Social that contacted me. I watched a couple of presentations. They were to provide a service that would basically protect and archive the information on our social media platforms in case there is a public access request. I provided the information to you. I'm gonna let you look at it, ask questions, whatever, and then I would just possibly ask for maybe a decision next month, next meeting. The cost is somewhere between, I think it was about $200 to $500 a month to maintain this, and it's a little pricey, but so I'll just leave it at that. You guys can decide, it's up to you. I have an education reimbursement request from Amber Powell for some classes that she took from IU. Last fall, you approved reimbursing 50% of tuition costs up to $2,000 for continuing education. And she successfully completed 6 credit hours and is requesting reimbursement of $1,640.69.
Okay.
Karen, I have a question.
Yes.
You're more involved, obviously, than I am in the social media and so forth. But this company that you're looking at, in your judgment, is this something that we need?
That's where I'm kind of on the fence on, to be perfectly honest. I mean, we do not, I don't want to jinx myself either, but we did not get a whole lot of public records requests at this time. So I can count on one hand the number that we've had to fulfill in the last 2 years. Will that change? Possibly. So that's kind of, it's. Yeah. Yeah, it is, and, I could see us, not doing it, and then the next day after we say no, someone comes in and says, well, I want to see your social media accounts for, X, Y, and Z, and may or may not be able to produce it. So, and it's not because I'm going in and deleting anything. As I said in the email, I think I've maybe deleted one post because I realized there were some typos in it, and so I recreated it and put it back up. And the way that we use social media isn't necessarily creating a forum for discussion. I think my view of our social media platforms is, let's get information out. We want to let you know that there's going to be a water shut off, or there's a road closure, or these meetings are coming up, or we want your involvement at a public input session. So it's not that sort of thing. We also, again, I don't want to jinx myself either. We don't have a lot of contentious issues and people taking stuff to social media to discuss out and hash out. So there's that. I hope people continue to keep our social media feeds as an avenue of information and not a place for discussion, because I think those discussions are more appropriate in this type of arena. So I guess I can't give you a specific answer. So.
I hope we can look into this the next meeting.
Sure.
So, yeah, and I don't want a decision. I brought this to you not intending a decision at all tonight. And if it even goes on to in February, that's fine. This is honestly, it's something where I think I signed up for like a handbook or something on public access and downloaded it, and it was from this company, so they have my name, so they've been contacting me, and I sat in on a presentation and said I would take it to you. So I do know, I think there's some area communities that use this. Winona Lake was one of them. I want to say maybe LaPorte County or the city of LaPorte. There are a number of area municipalities that do use this, so. I guess it's it's kind of like insurance.
Yeah.
You know, you have it in case you need it.
I wonder, Karen, I wonder if there are any, either guidelines or principles that we could put in effect and say, you know, we only post things, whatever it is on Facebook, and, you know, those things are not, as you said, they're not contentious issues. We're not the ones posting them there, and we make copies of it, so if we're gonna post something on Facebook, then maybe we also put it out on CGNL, because you're saying most of it is to put out information to people, and then the email account will keep a record of that.
Yeah.
I just want to, I don't know if those are good ideas or not, but I wonder if there are some guidelines that we could establish that would help protect us and not have to spend $500 a month.
Yeah, and I think, you know, ultimately, we do need some sort of social media kind of guideline or policy as far as this is what we can and what we can't put up. And that's definitely something that, you know, we'll add to the list. The issue that, you know, the archive social people used was, you know, it's fine, your stuff can be put up, but if someone goes in and makes a comment and then they can delete it, or if they delete their account, all of their comments are deleted. Now, is that our fault? No. You know, we can't do anything about someone going in and deleting their account, but someone could come and say, I want a public I've got a records request for this, you know, possibly looking for something like that, and we wouldn't be able to provide it. So, and Luke Britt, who's a public access counselor currently, is one that's kind of been on the forefront on a lot of the social media policy. And they actually refer to him in the book that I got. So, you know, I kind of feel like our hands are being tied too, you know, so. Maybe Jim might have some other insight into it as well. No?
Well, and I guess, you know, worst case scenario, you don't communicate that way, but it's effective in our community.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are on Facebook and get their information through that.
I mean, I would hope people continue to use those platforms in a positive manner.
Yeah. I know you asked for the 16.
Oh, yes, $1,640.69 to reimburse Amber for tuition costs.
Okay. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, I think that was Sally and Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This might be finally. Yes. I sent out this afternoon, no, actually when we got here, I apologize. Julie is working on closing out 2020, and she had 6 utility accounts that she's kind of been sitting on, trying to collect and making every effort to do so, to no avail. So 6 accounts for a total of $2,149.14 that she's asking to write off. I will say on one of the accounts where there's $1,504.83 owed, we worked very diligently at filing sewer liens and collected $10,063.86. For a lot of these, either the property sold and we didn't catch it soon enough and didn't know where the property owner went, or they were a rental, and you know they disappear. So I can tell you that though that Julie's made efforts very to try to collect.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve of the write-offs for 2020?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then just to let you know that we did receive with a tax payment $3,601.37 for sewer and gas claims that grass claims that we filed in the last couple of years. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah, we're not supporting the recorder's office as much as we have done, but so that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Karen. Attorney's report, Jim?
Yes, just kind of following up with that social media item. I'll look at that more and talk with Karen a little bit more. It kind of appears it's one of those recommended practices to protect the town kind of thing. So I'll look into that a little more. And then I guess the only other item I had, and this is kind of a follow-up on a conflict of interest. I sent to Jonathan and copied the council this afternoon an email that included consent for dual representation. I see Marlene's here. She's going to have the same thing presented to her if you had a chance to look at the consent. This has to do with the Phase 2 Lake Max Trails project and acquisition of right-of-way and real estate. And Jeanette Cerisi has been, I guess, retained by the township to represent its legal interest kind of in a general matter. Marlene and I said this may come up from time to time of a conflict. Marlene has some legitimate concerns about the proposed purchase by the town related to or along the cemetery there. And I don't really see any problems with addressing those concerns and taking care of it, but I'll check with Elizabeth Sullivan at Troyer. And I do think that it would be appropriate, just so everybody's clear, to have the town's approval for my representation and I guess Jeanette's of the township in sort of sorting through this matter as it relates to the Lake Max Trail project. So I don't know that I need to have approval this evening. If you haven't had a chance to look at the consent for dual representation, I'd be happy to wait until another meeting. I didn't prepare it, so I didn't prepare it for everybody's signature. If you would decide to go forward, you would need to include in the motion to nominate a representative of the town to sign the document. It's not really that big of a deal. Neither Jeanette or I really think that's going to be any kind of issue, but it's sort of just to make sure everything's transparent.
Thank you, Jim. Motion to go ahead and represent the town in this situation.
I would move that we authorize the dual agency agreement, authorize the council to sign that agreement on our behalf.
Can we ask the vice president, because this is a trail project?
Oh.
My company is involved in that.
That's fine.
Okay.
Comment?
Sure.
Speaking of, I don't think that there's going to be anything that, other than just some minor details, some wording that we would like to change, to add, legal options. You guys know what you want, what I want, I think there's enough. So we just want to make sure that it is how many people can be variables and events and that. I don't think anything serious. Also, we that she and Jim would and represent basically both.
Thank you. Thanks, Fermi. So Rich has approved the dual agency, or motion to approve the dual agency consent bill. Sign it. Kelly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Al?
Thank you for that. And if Karen, I didn't include her for whatever reason, maybe Jonathan can get a copy to Bill to sign and then pass it on to Marlene or return it to me and I'll get it passed on. Other than that, you're well aware of the upcoming sheriff's sale, and I guess that's all I have for the attorney report this time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Is anyone on the call for a utility shutoff or ordinance violation? Otherwise, we're going to move to citizen input. Any citizens on the phone who have input, could you unmute yourself and speak up for us?
I do have an appointment with Mr. Reese tomorrow afternoon, so if you sign that, I can take it with me tomorrow.
Okay. If there's no citizen input on the call, any citizen input in the room? Terry?
I just want to say that ladder one, the truck that we picked up last year, has been actively being used. If you haven't seen pictures on Facebook, we've had them Plymouth twice now on their active fires. They've been calling us to respond to bigger or potentially bigger fire scenes, and we met with open arms, and people are really happy. They like to see it in the community, and they're saying thank you to us.
Great, that's good. All right. So that covers citizen input. Council issues. Start with Mr. Clevenger, any council issues?
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Giffens, any council issues?
Nope.
Mr. West, any council issues?
Just, very disappointed that we're going to lose Jonathan, but happy for him. His advancement in professional pursuits. Try not to make your life too miserable. Don't hold me to that.
All right, hold me.
Trader.
Sally, any council issues?
No, no, this one.
All right, thank you. Karen, Jonathan, anything else? All right, well, motion to adjourn the claims.
So moved.
All in favor? Oh. Wait, yeah, I did have something actually. I'm sorry. Jim, sorry to keep you a little bit longer, but I was gonna ask, also, this is something you guys would have to authorize, not just me, but I would like for Jim to look at the situation with the complaint from Lee Marshall and you, what has occurred there. Jim, I assume you as well as develop Culver, or I don't what information if you were on whether any criminal activity took place or unethical activity took place. With one willing to look at, what would you require?
I missed out on some of that, Jenny. You were wanting me to, I think, weigh in on some of the matters with the Lee Marshall made. Is that what was being said?
Yeah. And if one, you're willing to do that, if the council would authorize it, and two, what you would need to do that sort of review.
Yeah, I can do that. Kind of information that I've had to date. I think I would probably need minutes from the redevelopment commission. I don't know how much of an investigation the council would be looking for. I don't know whether they'd want me to go beyond that or not, but I have seen some information, but I haven't reviewed the redevelopment minutes.
Okay. All right.
And if I may, I guess then the next thing is would you want me just to formulate an opinion letter and provide that to the council, or how would you want me to present whatever I decided?
Yeah, I think a memo would be appropriate. That's
Okay.
what I was looking for. We're still in session. Sorry, I haven't called a motion on the adjournment. So are you council members open to having Jim do that? Because it would be a cost of our
Absolutely.
his hourly rate.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Can you form that into a motion, Bill? Motion to allow Jim to investigate the matter and
Yes.
review the minutes from CRC and any other information. Okay, and then create a memo to communicate with the council. So,
Second.
okay, motion from Bill Clevenger, second from Sally. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My vote aye.
Thanks a lot, by the way.
Okay, you're welcome. I think that some of what Lee complained complained about was also council not removing members of the redevelopment commission and also not reappointing people to the CRC. So I felt like it merited some sort of investigation and comment. With your experience on the ethics committee and your knowledge of what has taken place to some degree, having you look further into it would benefit all of us. So I know that Bill Githen's motion to adjourn to claims, I believe Bill Clevenger seconded that motion, correct? So all in favor of adjourning to claims? Aye. All right, thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Jim.